Alabama at LSU. LSU is a 13.5-point home dog, over under 56.5. This game also has massive SEC division implications. LSU actually controls its own destiny in the division. I think you love Alabama here, so I'll let you make your case.
I do. I did a full write-up for Action, so you guys can go read it there. But the biggest factor in this game is the return of Eli Ricks. Mississippi State targeted him 9 times last week. Ricks was first start of the season, fully healthy. Mississippi State targeted him 9 times, went right after him, and all those were in man coverage. 1 catch. Ricks allowed 1 catch and recorded 4 pass breakups. He was putting Mississippi State receivers on an island. And so now Eli Ricks at corner gets to go up against the team he transferred from in LSU, and he gets a one-on-one matchup with Kayshon Boutte. And if Boutte is put on Rick's Island, which is what I've been calling it, then this allows the Bama defense to load the box and stop the zone read dual threat runs of Jaden Daniels, which he's been on fire the last 2 games. Like, I took LSU against Tennessee because I thought that what we're seeing out of Jaden Daniels the last 2 games would have been there then. Brian Kelly is finally getting the consistency that he wants. But if Alabama is able to lock Boutte down in one-on-one coverage with Eli Ricks, then they're going to be able to have an extra man in the box, and that's going to be huge against Jaden Daniels. So I know that Alabama, went up against KJ Jefferson. It's a different animal as a dual threat, but Alabama limited KJ to just 2 yards per rush. And if you take out a 20-yard scramble by Hendon Hooker, he averages 3 yards per rush against Alabama also. So when you go to the other side of the ball, LSU has an excellent pass rush. But are you going to get a finger on Bryce Young? The numbers for him in pressure to sack ratio are crazy. Last year, 15% pressure to sack ratio, right? So if you get 100 pressures, it ended up in 15 sacks. Right now, that has plummeted down to 10%. So a 5% drop. And when you watch Bryce Young move, no one can touch him. No one can get a hand on him. It's like he knows, he just has some ability to know exactly where every defender is on the field. And I think, a lot of people say, well, where's the explosiveness on the wide receivers? The secondary for LSU is not good. They're 91st in coverage. It's a real weakness. I think Bryce Young is going to exploit that, but who's going to do it? We do have, Ja'Cory Brooks, Kobe Prentice. They're both over 2 yards per route run, but the return of Tyler Harrell last week, he had a catch for 12 yards. This is the explosive piece that Alabama needs to separate themselves from the 6th team in the college football playoff ranking back up to national title contender, because this is a transfer, Tyler Harrell, that came in from Louisville, and he was 2.9 yards per route run. He would easily be the most explosive target that Alabama has if he can play anywhere near what he played like in Louisville last year. So that is the plan. His name was dropped in the presser this week saying he's got to get some targets. So if he's fully healthy and he can perform like he did at Louisville, LSU's secondary is in trouble. So I love Alabama on both sides of the ball. I would lay it at 13.5. I'd stop at 14.
I disagree. We might disagree on every game today, but that's probably a good thing for you. I'm on a 67-27 run, so I'm due to lose about 28 games in a row. I might not play LSU, but what you're saying are the ifs, which I agree with if they come to fruition. Like I've watched Bama this year, and their defense has holes. They're not getting as much pressure as I would have thought. Their secondary also has been exploited at times. Obviously Tennessee shredded them, but Tennessee shreds everybody. But like Texas A&M's backup quarterback moving the ball on them, it's I just haven't been that impressed with the defense, and it's mainly the corners. You lose 2 corners to the NFL, and there's been holes there. Now, if Eli Ricks, who is a potential first-round draft pick in the future, who played really well at Mississippi State, his emergence and his, now he's starting. He was dealing with an injury, and Saban, he said he wasn't, caught up on the defense yet. Saban obviously was comfortable enough to put him in. If he's now all the way back and understands the D, that's a huge upgrade for Alabama. I don't know, but I'm kind of hesitant to just say, all right, Ricks is back and he's going to be elite, because every cornerback who's ever played for Alabama shuts down the Leach offense. Like they just score 0 points every single year, which is my only hesitation there. And then the other side, you mentioned Tyler Howell. Yes, that's the missing piece. Because they're receivers, they're just missing explosive weapons on the outside. Now, Young's elusiveness and mobility will be a huge factor here. And that's basically what's keeping the offense humming when they're playing defenses that can get pressure. because the offensive line has also been a bit disappointing.
Yep.
So yeah, if he is, that missing piece for the explosiveness factor, which is missing, then those are the two things that like Alabama has been missing, right? Their offensive line can build a little more continuity, but it's like Ricks as a shutdown corner, and then the explosive receiver, and like you're potentially like adding them as like trade or free agent acquisitions. So if you could see both of them come to fruition this week, and then this is Alabama all the way. I just can't get to this number yet because I do have some hesitations with Alabama, but LSU, their offenses looked a lot better of late, but who have they done it against, right? That's what gives me pause with Jaden Daniels and his passing attack. It's like, kumbaya, everything's great with the receivers, but you played Florida, whose defense is bad, and then you played Ole Miss, whose defense is bad. This is a big step up in class just from a talent perspective. For what it's worth, I don't know what this is with Alabama. Maybe it's the penalties, which are definitely a concern. Maybe they cleaned some of that off the bye. And the other thing I should mention is that we did anticipate LSU improving as the year goes on under Brian Kelly. For what it's worth, Brian Kelly has just thrived in this spot. If you're in the trends, he's 37-14-2 against the spread. That's 73% as an underdog or favorite of less than a field goal. He's the most profitable coach over the past 30 years, over 500 coaches in that scenario. But what's more concerning to me is just Alabama on the road the past 2 seasons. True road games. They go to Tennessee, they lose outright as 9-point favorites. They did cover against Arkansas, pulled away late. They won by 1 as 20-point favorites at Texas earlier this year. They won by 2 as 20-point favorites against Auburn last year. They obviously crushed Mississippi State. They lost as 20-point underdogs, almost outright at Texas A&M. And then they won by 2 as 14-point favorites at Florida. I mean, 5 of those 7 games, and they're double-digit favorites in all of them. They either lost outright or they were decided by fewer than 3 points. It's a small sample size, but is it they've had like penalty issues, and on the road, look at that Tennessee game. What did they have? 13 penalties for 100 yards. So we'll see if they can clean some of that up. But Alabama's just played a lot of really close, true road games of late. Especially if you throw out that Mississippi State game, they're all like in jeopardy towards the end, and they always beat Mississippi State. So we'll see who cleaned up more over the bye week, as both teams are coming off of a bye. But it's, if you had to pick one coach to decide with after a bye, even though Kelly's been successful in the spot, you would obviously choose Saban. So we'll see. A very fascinating game for a lot of reasons.